Hey guys, welcome to another video, and for this week I've got my first proper top 10 list, and today I'm going to be going through the top 10 first level spells. And I'm going to say first of all, this is in my opinion. I asked a few people online, some friends, what they thought were first level spells, so I definitely took some opinions on, but ultimately the list is what I think are the top 10 first level spells across all classes. Before I get into the top 10 list, I have 6 honourable mentions of spells I feel could fit into the top 10 depending on who you are, but for me they just missed out. The first is Armour of Agathis, and the main reason I didn't put this in is because I feel it's kind of weak at first level, but its upcasting capabilities are unreal and dishes out a lot of damage when upcasted. The second is Chaos Bolt. It does really solid damage, but its potential damage output is absolutely insane, but because it's only potential damage output, it's the reason it didn't make the top 10. Comprehend languages. Knowing every language makes things a hell of a lot easier in D&D, especially when the puzzles are language orientated, but once again I just didn't feel it was strong enough to make the top 10. Detect magic, because knowing where and what isn't and is magical is extremely powerful, but once again it's one of those kind of like passive spells, and so once again just didn't quite make the cut for me. Disguise Self, perfect for infiltration and deception. It's great if you're playing like a sneaky character or, as I said, a deceptive character, but outside of those reasons it's not very useful. And then Guiding Bolt, massive damage for a first level spell, and that advantage bonus that it gives on a hit is fantastic. But once again, I feel there are just some spells that are just a little bit more useful, so that's better for the top 10 list. And so we will get into the top 10 list now. So for number 10, I cheated and I have 2 spells. I have Hex and Hunter's Mark. They're essentially the same spell, just one for warlocks and one for rangers. They're both concentration, and they basically have it so that if you cast it on a creature and you hit them, you deal an extra 1d6 of damage. There's also, each one has its own little extra bonus, with Hunter's Mark giving you, I think, advantage on perception checks to find the creature it's on, and Hex giving them disadvantage on a certain type of ability check. It also has the extra little bit of, if it's on a creature and that creature is reduced to 0 hit points, on your turn you can move it to another creature as part of your bonus action. I have it as number 10 because, once again, I feel there are a lot more powerful spells, but it's extremely useful and it's a guaranteed pick for any ranger or warlock. Number 9. I picked Faerie Fire, because giving advantage against multiple creatures is absolutely insane. Also, they can't go invisible, or I think they can go invisible, but you know where they are. Faerie Fire is extremely useful. It's one of those spells that in my games I've seen it turn the tide of fights so well, or it's made fights just extremely easy for the party, and so that's why I put it in here at number 9, because I just feel giving everyone on your team advantage against specific creatures is absolutely ridiculous. Number 8, I have Ensnaring Strike. Now this is a ranger spell, first level ranger spell. I should say, how it works is when you hit a creature with an attack, they have to make a strength check, and if they fail, they become restrained. Now, where it's powerful, and this comes from, is that at the start of every turn following that, they take 1d6 damage while they are restrained, and then they can make a strength check to try break out. It's once again, upcasting capabilities is absolutely insane, but even for a first level ranger spell, this deals so much damage. I actually feel it is just that little bit better than Hunter's Mark, because the restraining capabilities of it, and I would highly recommend it if you're a ranger for picking this spell. For number 6, I have 2 spells again, but they're very similar, so that's why I have them here together, and that is Bless and Bane. Both introduce a d4 either as a bonus or a reduction. So Bless will you can give 3 allies an extra d4 on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws, or Bane is you can give it to 3 enemies, and they reduce their attacks, ability checks, and saving throws by a d4. So one's the buff and one's the debuff, and I feel they're both very powerful spells, and that's why I have them together here at number 7. 7? 6? 7? One of them. I lost track. Number 6. Yeah, so number 7 was Bane, Bless and Bane. Number 6 is Absorb Elements. First of all, it is a reaction spell, so that makes it extremely powerful in its own right. It lasts a whole round, so that's really important, that it's not just a one-off attack, it stops a whole round worth of attacks. it gives you resistance to the damage type you're being hit with. So I think it's fire, lightning, poison, acid, and cold damage. So it gives you resistance to one of those types. And then on the next melee attack you make after casting it, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage of the damage type you took resistance to. So if a dragon was to breathe fire on you and you did absorb elements, you don't take resistance to fire damage, and then the next melee attack you make, you deal an extra 1d6 fire damage. Great spell, but once again, absolutely amazing upcasting capabilities, but really strong as a first level spell in its own right. And now we're into the top 5, and like I said, this is all my opinion. If you disagree with me, absolutely say so in the comments. If you agree with me, say so in the comments as well and give the video a like. So, number 5, I have Magic Missile. For the sole purpose of its guaranteed damage. 3d4 plus 3 is absolutely insane. If you're struggling to hit something, so something has a ridiculously high AC at a low level, you can just pepper them with Magic Missiles for guaranteed damage. And what is to complain about that? Its upcasting capability is great, but you can also split the darts. You don't have to have all the darts to go at one creature. You can have them go at 4 different creatures, and potentially, or 3 different creatures, should I say, and you can potentially take out 3 different creatures at one turn. I think Magic Missile is probably the best damaging first level spell in D&D 5e. And number 4, I have essentially its antithesis, the thing that counters it, Shield. Shield is a reaction spell, so once again makes it really powerful. And what it does is it gives you an extra 5 AC for the remainder of the round, I think. And as I said, it instantly stops Magic Missile. So if you have Magic Missile being cast on you and you cast Shield, it blocks each of the missiles. An extra 5 AC is absolutely insane to have as a reaction, and that's why I think it easily belongs at number 4. Now we're getting into the top 3, and this is where I feel like my choices are absolutely a little bit controversial. I honestly feel these 3 could be in any order. This was actually the most difficult decision in arranging these, was these 3. So in at number 3, I put Silvery Barbs. Got introduced in Strixhaven. It's a reaction to a creature rolling a d20 essentially, and you give that creature disadvantage, and then you can give another creature advantage on their next roll. This is extremely powerful, this spell. I've got a whole other video on why I think this is one of the most broken spells in D&D, but it's really powerful as a first level spell. Being able to give out disadvantage and advantage as a player is ridiculous, and that's why I have it in as the 3rd best first level spell in D&D 5e. Number 2, and this might come to as a shock because of how I kind of talk about this spell in videos, but in the sense that you might be surprised it's not number 1, and that is Healing Word. Now, in talking to a lot of people, very few people mentioned actually Healing Word as one of the best spells, first level spells. But in my experience, Healing Word has always been extremely powerful in my games. A bonus action ranged healing allows you to get allies up that are on the other side of the battlefield. And in my experience, that has saved so many players and has ended so many fights. Because if you're a cleric, say, and you've got the enemy swarming you, and for whatever reason your wizard has teleported behind them, you can Healing Word your wizard, and now your wizard's behind them and can start peppering them from behind. And that's happened so many times in my games, and it's worked so well for the players. And that's why I feel Healing Word, being its bonus action ranged healing, is well deserved of the 2nd spot in this list of first level spells. And number 1, and this one might be a little bit of a shock to some people, but I think it is the best first level spell in D&D 5e, and that is Find Familiar. There are a bunch of reasons why this is the best spell. It's a ritual, so you don't need to use a spell slot to cast it if you have ritual casting. The only downside, I think, to this spell is the material cost to cast it, the 10 gold pieces worth of materials and the bronze brazier, but that should be very easy to get, especially if you have a generous DM, or even, they don't even need to be a generous DM, just a DM who's willing to allow you to buy things. Those material costs will come very easily. It's so powerful because you've got an extra character you control. So that means you can you can send it forward to scout, you can look through its eyes, you can hear through it. An owl is an amazing familiar to have because it can fly in and fly out without getting attacks done on it. I feel like the best action for these familiars take is the help action, just given advantage against one creature that it's distracting. And I feel one part that really gets overlooked when with Find Familiar is the casting of touch spells through it. So as through the familiar's reaction, the familiar as a reaction is, so say you wanted to cast a spell that's touch, for example, Cure Wounds. It's a touch spell. You, as a reaction, if you cast that, your familiar can use their reaction to cast it through them, and they can cast the spell. So if you have an ally that's deep behind enemy lines but surrounded, you could send your owl in. Your owl, as a reaction, will touch them and cast Cure Wounds through them for you. And I feel that's one of the most powerful reasons behind Find Familiar. Not only that, you can change the shape of your familiar, so you can have a fish, you can have a bird, you can have a dog. You can have whatever your DM allows, and that's why I feel like Find Familiar is the best first level spell. That's the list, guys. I fly through it because I feel like there's videos that will talk about these things for like half an hour, and I feel that's really not necessary. That's the bare bones of why I think each one of these spells, it belongs in the top 10 list of the best first level spells in D&D 5e. Let me know what you thought. Is there anything you disagree with? Is there a spell I left out? Most importantly, please say so in the comment section below. I want to know what spells I left out. I know there are a few that I may have controversially left out, and I would love to hear what you think about that. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It would mean the absolute world to me, because then I'd know you'd want more content like this. I love making these types of videos, and it'd be great to know that you enjoyed them too. And if you do, and you want to see more of them, hit the subscribe button. It means the absolute world to me, and I know that means you want more content. And then make sure you hit the little bell next to it for notifications so that you never miss out on another video. Guys, I really thank you for watching this video. I hope you have an amazing D&D session this week, and I will catch you on the next one.